Hi everyone, it's Killshot99 Gaming. This is Fear the Walking Dead live fan reactions, episode number 3. So I was getting a lot of messages during this one. I'm interested to talk about it. I've got some mixed feelings. It was not trending along very good in the beginning, and a nice ending. So we are going to get some reactions tonight and see what everybody's thoughts were for the show. Certainly next week looks a little bit better. But that is typical Fear the Walking Dead. We got 3 episodes under our belt. Before we get too far into tonight's episode, let me give a big shout out to our Patreon army. There you see them up on the screen. We did start to stream just a little bit early, so I'm sure we're going to have some people start to roll in. Just want to get a couple initial reactions here and see what some of the thoughts were in tonight's episode. So, it gave you that Fear the Walking Dead plot, sub-story, some things, looking for license, nice title. The ending certainly, oh, come on. Oh, boy. All right. I'm not going to argue with it, but I'm glad they found each other. Let me put it that way. I'm glad, he walked 500 miles and he'd walk 500 more, and it just kind of happened. It did have that Fear the Walking Dead coincidence to it, though. And I guess the bigger story here is Al missed her opportunity, but Dwight found his. But they have been teasing this. I agree, Casey. They've been teasing for a long time, and Will, we're probably going to agree tonight. And I hate to say it like this. Let me get everybody here, though. Once we get everybody here, we'll kind of break it down. It was 57 minutes of sleeping in order to get to Sherry. Even Moonshot, you know what? Even Moonshot had it as a 5 until the end. That's saying a lot. All right. Well, let's do it. We got people rolling in here right now. So let's just get the raw scores out there and let's see. I don't have a good feeling about tonight's scores, though. So from a 1 to a 10, including the ending, where do you leave tonight's episode? Bonnie, 6.3. Donnie T, 7. Will gives it a 3. 8, 7, 8. I know some people came in and they said it was great. And then, they don't want to get called out for high. Be honest. I'm not going to pick on anybody except Amanda. Come on, Amanda. A 10? Whatever you were drinking while you're watching it, please share it with the rest of us. Deborah gives it a 9.5. I see Eric Beach. Good evening, Army. Happy for Dwight. 6 out of 10. The end saved the hour. All right. Sheila, you gave it an 8. I wouldn't classify 8 as great. Even an 8 would call you and say, hey, I'm not great. I'm an 8. I'm good. All right, I'm going to give it a 6. I do have to tell you, I was trending in the 4 territory. I was low. I was low on this one. I was a 4 until the closure to the Dwight story. And I'm going to tell you, even then, Well, Donnie, a little slow. I would say probably didn't classify it. So, all right, the obvious answer is, what did you like most about it? I think most people are probably going to say Dwight and Sherry, right? I mean, isn't that kind of the story? But let's take a different turn. What did you not like about tonight's episode? I've got notes. I got lots of notes. All right, even let's start out with the very beginning. All right, we've had 3 episodes and we've had Morgan swinging an axe. So raise your hand if you think they're pushing the Morgan silhouette, Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris in the background a little too much. Like, we get it, right? Morgan's badass cowboy with an axe now. But yet we see him again, in the distance practicing. So I thought filler. Didn't the Morgan part feel a little like filler? Like, okay, we got to put in another 3 minutes here and keep the story together. All right, and then we get Dwight and Al hitting funeral homes looking for license of dead people. And ways to prevent. So here's the thing, all right? What was the plot tonight? Maybe you guys can help me with that. I didn't see a plot. I saw a bunch of different puzzle pieces put together and find Sherry at the end. I don't think there was a plot. Ways to prevent what? And I get that, Casey. So I know they teased that a little bit. So you're in a funeral home. They're looking for license, but they're trying to find ways to prevent something from happening. Al's been, trying to find Isabella, the beer lady, and a lot of things happened in that small little building. My biggest question of the night, though, I mean, the thing that just really, really had me on edge, I couldn't figure it out. Why did Dwight spit out the beer only to take another drink of the same beer that he spit out? Typically, when you eat something or taste something that is not appealing, you don't go back to it and eat it again and drink it again. So that part of all the things tonight that just really had me, like, my head spinning, that was probably Will gave it a 3 because he wasted beer, right? Will probably had it as a 4, and as soon as he spit out the beer, Will's like, hell no, we're marking this down. Party foul for sure. Okay, then just a couple tidbits, just a couple, like, literally, I got notes and notes that I want to talk to you guys about. So, did you think Dwight had a little bit of anger issues when he and Al were sitting in the conference room? Like, that was too much of a sudden shift of personality, I thought. So, they're out there and he's trying to help her. I'll concoct this crazy plan for you, and if you fall in love, I'll get a walker that looks like you, and I'll fake it and do all those things. And then they get captured, and they're in a conference room, and then all of a sudden he turns evil. He's like, "What? You didn't tell me that? We could have been killed." Really? It was almost like, "Hey, wait a minute, Dwight. Hold on. Chill out a little bit. You're just trying to help her, and then now all of a sudden, you pretty mad. Like, more mad than he should have been." So I had that as a note. The end is the beginning. And I'm still confused about a couple things. The flare guns being in the building. I guess that's there to signal there's. I'm just confused why there was flares, beer, and medicine, like all there. I mean, I'm not supposed to question it. I know it's the way it happens. Obviously, the flares were supposed to message people, but what is all that stuff there for? Why do you have those things there? Who needs to summon you there? And if they need to summon you there, why is there beer there? And did they know they were sick? Why is the medicine there? And if they knew they were sick, then why did Al have to call Isabel? And see, I mean, that just a lot of pieces, man. It just don't make any sense to me. And Dwight had a rat in a sleeping bag. Yeah, I mean, it's fear. So let me ask this question to the group. How many people were at least slightly disappointed by tonight's episode compared to the first 2 weeks? I will be the first to raise my hand. I thought the first 2 weeks had potential. I didn't think they were great, but I certainly thought they had potential. I think I've given it around a 7 to an 8 for the most part. All right. The bad CGI, and this probably wasn't even CGI. This was more bad props. Will's gonna listen. He doesn't want to be negative. Oh, thanks a lot, Will. Leave that for me. You didn't mind talking last week. No, get in the game, man. Don't stand on the sidelines. All right. There are very few moments in Walking Dead and Walking Dead history that really stand out as either bad props or bad CGI. The deer obviously was bad. The water under the bridge in Walking Dead. But tonight, am I the only person that thought the drywall was really, really bad? Will, help me on this one. So they crawl through this tunnel. They climb up the elevator shaft. Water's leaking, and all of a sudden they bust through, and it looks like they might have fallen like about a foot. Like the floor wasn't level, and it's like, "Oh, you okay? You okay? Yeah, I'm fine." And then you get that split shot of the screen over there, and they're literally like 4 aluminum beams and a broken piece of drywall. It was bad. Come on. Even if you loved it, even if you gave it a 9, that thin little piece of drywall that they had just fallen through, like they were dropped off a cliff literally 10 seconds earlier, that I want to go back and watch that and just get a screenshot of that. That was not good. So I thought the props could have been a little bit better with that. And please, I mean, don't take this the wrong way. I have to say this so much. I hate saying it at this point. I love The Walking Dead. But this was a room full of writers tonight that said, we have to get this story going where Dwight meets Sherry, and it doesn't really matter what happens up to that point. Let's just get to that point. And sadly, they did. And I'll say it again. Next week looks pretty good. But Fear the Walking Dead always, they always do this. It's like next week, next week, next week. So here we are 3 weeks into it. All right. And for the season, look, my red zone for a TV show or a movie where I start getting concerned is when you get into low sixes. When you're 5, 5.5, 6, that's the danger zone. It took World Beyond 2 episodes to get me in the no-fly zone. So this is where I'm at with Fear. Okay? 8, 7, 6. And sadly, we're getting worse. So I've got this season so far at a solid 7. And I don't think they did themselves a lot of justice tonight. So I know one of the intentional things this season was to gradually roll out different characters and have them as the highlight of each show. So anyone a little disappointed it's taken us like 4 episodes to get to John Dory? I mean, he looks pretty badass next week. So, my question. Why? How would you feel if you're watching Walking Dead, like the real Walking Dead, and it took you like 4 episodes to get to Rick Grimes? So you got somebody the crowd really likes, but we got all these sub-stories, and each person gets their own little piece of it. But if I'm a writer for Fear the Walking Dead, yeah, maybe I would make John Dory's piece of the story a little bit bigger. So we'll talk about it like from a really, really high level view. And why I have it a 7 at this point and what I think might turn the corner. So we're not in the low 6s yet. And I still think there's time to push it in the right direction. I know most people, Nope, I got it at 8, 7, and 6. So I got it as a 7 for the season. So how many people think, I know we're optimistic, how many people think Fear will still deliver, or do you think it's starting to trend back to old Fear the Walking Dead? They start out with a bang, and then they just can't keep it together, and then gradually unravels because they can't write a story. Now, if history's anything, most of us would probably say, no, it's going to hell. But I think we're optimistic. That's a great answer. Dime says, I refuse to speculate because then I'll be in a bad mood. Will says, after 3 episodes, he's losing a little bit of faith. Dustin says, thanks, Fear. And I'm not trying to persuade you one way or the other. I would just say this, and I'm as optimistic as you guys are. But if I use my common sense, or I use, like, my heart tells me it's going to get better, my head tells me they can't. They've had 5 seasons to get better, and if they can't do it in 5 years, what makes you think the 6th is going to be any different? So we got about almost a quarter of the season. Next week will be a quarter of the season. So let's talk about some of the highlights at this point, what we're pretty excited about, and then we'll talk about some of the things that we're not excited about. So let's start with the highlights because that's going to be a much shorter list. We can discuss that really, really quickly. So what is like the number one? Probably Morgan, right? Excited about Morgan and what he could do. I still think they got a problem with Morgan. Because on the surface, Morgan looks like he should be the next Superman. But now, like I said, I think he pretty much has to be the next Superman. And here we are again, episode number 3, and Morgan, who's he going to kill? And again, isn't it feeling like Ginny really isn't that bad? That the sole reason why these people don't run away is because they think Ginny's going to kill them or kill their friends. Now, apparently, she hasn't been pushed to that direction yet. But what do our people know that we don't know as viewers, right? I mean, I haven't seen her kill anybody, like, other than Logan. Yeah, a couple little small people. But something just happened where there was this consensus, and all of our people just got weak. Like, let me give you an example. Last week, Alicia just getting in the back of the truck. What I'm thinking is, like, Alicia could kill that guy in the back of the truck pretty easily. And then you got the whole time scale. And look, maybe there was some exaggeration, but Dwight did say to Al, how many places like this have we been in? 200? Now, even if they go through 2 or 3 a day, they've been at this for months. So we know some time has passed. So the group has pretty much, enough time has passed for Daniel to supposedly lose his memory. I mean, I don't think the whole Daniel storyline happened in 2 weeks where she believes Daniel has got to be faking this for a while. So I don't know, 6 months that they've been at this. Morgan's healed. Had time to move Morgan into a water tower. So whatever the time frame is, it just doesn't seem like, I don't know, the group just went, let's say 6 months, but whatever the case may be, they don't have a plan. They're not that angry. They just, they've kind of learned to live this life until they get the opportunity. Morgan Jones is dead. So, Ginny said, I thought you needed to be dead for all this to work, but you don't. They just need to think you're dead. That should be important. So we saw in the preview. So is Ginny going to now make everybody think that's Morgan's head in the box, or so she couldn't kill Morgan herself, so she hired somebody to make the group think that she killed Morgan to get them to fear her a little. I'm trying here. So I'm going to go ahead and just give you, it's not a spoiler, but the way I think it's going to happen. So we've got the makings of the group getting back together, right? And if you look at this, like, as you see it happening in real time, maybe it doesn't make any sense. But look at what we have. We've got Strand, who's sending Alicia away. So they're intentionally splitting the group up. Strand sending Alicia, good move. Daniel is working on the inside. He's playing dumb. He's helping Morgan. So now we've got maybe Strand on the inside. We've got Daniel on the inside. We've got Morgan on the outside. We got Sherry on the outside. Dwight may end up faking his own death. But we still haven't seen several of our people. And I'm just going to go back to the question that I posed before. What has Ginny done to make all of our people need to gather up like this? And yeah, now you got Nora and her people. So hell, you add Nora's people, and then you add all these other people, Sherry, Dwight. They could probably start taking down a few outposts. So, question. Now, well, maybe a question and a statement. This to me feels a little bit like when Negan took over Alexandria. Even though he didn't live there, they just seemed like all their fight was ripped away from them. You guys remember, right? But what did Negan do differently? Well, he made examples out of people. See, that's where I think the Ginny story's lacking, because we haven't seen Ginny really make an example out of anybody. So, what if, well, see, I get that, Jim, but for me, it's a little too late. Like, this is a group that has been kicking ass for 5 years. Now, we may not like the show, but let's be honest. Alicia, June, John, I mean, this group had some ability. And all they really did was kill Logan. Now, what if Ginny would have shot June? Now, that would have been way cooler. Because at least at that point, you'd have been like, whoa. Then there's a connection to it. That's funny, Will. I'm not reading it because I'm not singing it. But I get the point. If they don't ever kill somebody that we're connected to, why do we care? And it doesn't really make us fear Ginny at all. See, Deborah, I'm going to read this comment because Deborah gave it a 9.5. And I love Deborah. But I think this is the ultimate in optimism. Ginny is going to do something to Grace and her baby because she knows it'll get to Morgan. All right? Speculation. But that's what we do. We speculate, and if I wish you were a writer for the show, because I'd be like, yes, that takes some courage. But that's kind of what we've said for like a year and a half. We've said, this is going to happen, or Ginny's going to do that, or they're going to do that. So we give them the script. We give them all these great ideas of things that we need to do. But they never do it. And if they would do some of those things, as dark as they sound, it would change our feeling for these characters and these people. And because they haven't done that, I really think I don't know. I feel like there's just another group that is going to be more bad than Ginny. I feel like she's recruiting and setting up her own little internal army to fight somebody else. That she's going to need these people. And I think it's going to lessen her impact quite a bit. Or it's kind of like Alexandria all over again, except in this one, you're the guest. It's not your home. So maybe it's like a reverse Alexandria where the group needs to stay and they can't leave because of what might happen. Yeah, I mean, I think, if you think about the headline tomorrow, it's going to be a couple things. One, it's going to be Dwight and Sherry get back. Number two, it's going to be a really, really low rated. All right. Yeah, somebody wasn't happy. Um, so you got a couple different dynamics here. I don't know a nice way to ask this because I saw the way you guys gave it the ratings. And Fear does this a lot. You can raise your hand if you've heard me say this over the years. How many people felt like you were a little bit tricked into watching something for 55 minutes only to get to the last 5 minutes? And I'm asking it this way. You don't have to agree. I'm not asking it to be sarcastic and say, but that's kind of the way I felt with the content. We've got rats with the plague and a diehard Christmas party going bad. I mean, she even said holiday party 2008. And I'm thinking like, yeah, Hans Gruber's going to land on the roof. I thought when Al opened the door and she got on the walkie-talkie, I thought she was going to say, Clay, Bill, Clay. Something like that. If you don't watch Die Hard, you don't know. But it did feel like that, right? And so they're out, they're looking at these funeral homes, and then, they get this radio things right down the street. They go there. They got all these, they're crawling in the little spot with rats. Dwight slept with a rat. That didn't come out right. But anyway, they break through, bad props in the background. Now, how about the axe and the door trick? Does that work? I mean, apparently it didn't work. But does it work that long? Because the first thing I'm thinking is, dude's going to lock her up. Like, Dwight was content just to, what if it would have worked? He's just like, okay, all these people just stand here and die. But Nora wasn't having it. Nora kicked that door open. She might have shot through it. I don't know. I don't know if shooting through the door would move the axe from the bottom. But anyway, she found a way to sort of break through it. I know if the door was made out of the same material as that wall they broke through, it wouldn't have lasted very long. All right, so I got another question for you guys. Anybody here a licensed physician, nurse, medic? All right, I'm trying to get a time frame here. Bear with me 1 second. Because bubonic plague causes lymph nodes. I get all that, 1 to 6 days, all of the above. But what I want to know, treatment works well with antibiotics. Most people get better within a week or two. Okay. Did it not appear that those people were getting well a lot quicker than a week or two? And is it possible that Dwight and Al have been gone for a week or two? And if they are gone for a week or two, I mean, I'm not saying they weren't up there in that room, but how do you explain that? I mean, just another. I get it. It's not a documentary. I understand there's going to be some things that work or some things that don't work. But I go back to my previous point. The MO of tonight's show was to get Dwight to Sherry, and everything else that happened along the way was very choppy. And I mean, I think just seeing the medication, and they were all like, yes, I'm back. Now, here's the big question. What do we do with it? Is it the worst Fear episode I've ever seen? No. It was a snooze fest early on, and my expectations were already super, super low. It's like, you know what? The first two were okay. This is not knocking it out of the park. There's got to be something bigger. And then it got to where it was supposed to get. And then next week looked pretty good. But from what I've seen historically with Fear, and I mean, this may hurt to go back and think, but I'm going to ask you guys a completely honest question. Have you ever, or does it happen often, watched a show of Fear the Walking Dead where you were just glued to the TV and you were riveted from start to finish? Think about that question a little bit. Maybe once, maybe twice. But to me, that's the core of the issue with Fear the Walking Dead. Is they'll give you a couple good scenes, or they'll give you something to look forward to. But it's rare that I kind of get that, that popcorn where your eyes are glued to the TV and, you don't want to look at anything because you just love the show so much. Fear needs that element. And if it is, it just doesn't happen often. And I know a lot of people don't want to compare it to The Walking Dead, but see, that's the difference. You don't have to do the same thing. It doesn't have to be the same story. We just don't have that connection. And then if you say something like, okay, well, Fear doesn't do it, then the people that defend it will say, well, it's not the same show. Oh, I get it. But there's other TV shows. The Blacklist sometimes. Anybody ever watch The Blacklist and you're just sitting there like the whole time? Like, can't wait to see what happens. If you're not a fan of the show, maybe not. But there are shows out there that do that. And I just don't think it's too much to ask for them to give us, with commercials, what are we getting? Like 38 minutes, 40 minutes? I don't think it's too much to ask to give us 40 minutes of just great content where we're on the edge of our seat. All right, let me give you this as an example. I'm going to do something super, super simple. And I'm going to show you why we have a problem with Fear. All right, so if you guys want the Kill Shot 999 Save Fear Week 3 episode, give me a quick 999. And I'm going to tell you just an alternate storyline tonight that would have made it, in my opinion, much, much better. All right, because who wants to go to a party and stay at a party for 2 hours and then and it's boring, and at the very end of the party, the last 5 minutes, something good happens? Nobody. So why did they need to lower expectations in order to excite us at the end? Why not in the first 5 minutes of the show have the Dwight Sherry scene? Think about that for a minute. And then imagine the rest of the show having them kill rats together. They could have killed thousands of rats. He could have been like the freaking Pied Piper meets Die Hard and went up every floor. And so, oh my God, Sherry, let's kill some more rats. Okay, honey, let's do it. All right, you get that one, I'll get that one. They could have killed rats for an hour. And we would have loved it. You know why we would have loved it? Because the only reason we watched tonight was to see the two of them meet. So don't lower expectations and then make it palpable at the end. It didn't have to be okay. Give us the good stuff and then just let us enjoy it. It's not a difficult concept here. Hey, you'd have been texting her, you better turn on the damn TV, turn off that game. Dwight and Sherry just got back together. I would have been calling dead relatives. I don't care. Anybody would have been watching it. But don't make me sit through that stuff for 57 and a half minutes or whatever the case may be just to see them meet in an alleyway at the very end of it. That's all I'm saying. It's not a difficult thing to make us enjoy it. Let us like it. And then we follow all the rest of the path. We could have been split screen. You could have been like, I don't know, Call of Duty, where Al's going up one side of the stair to try to find Isabella, and Dwight and Sherry are killing rats, and we see who gets to the top floor first. Could have been anything. But just get to it, and then we would like it. Exactly, Eric. We've been waiting 2 years on this, and you know what? They couldn't even give it to us at the beginning. We had to wait 2 years. It's like a Sinead O'Connor song. It's been 2 years and 57 minutes and 30 seconds. It could have just been 2 years. We didn't need the last 2 parts. We didn't need the last hour. So, and I use all this as a very demonstrative example to tell you the problem. The problem is Ian and Andrew think they're so damn clever that they want to just talk about all these storylines, these developments, and it was so romantically beautiful at the end of it that we finally had these 2 star-crossed lovers that met each other. It's like everything is a principal issue, and all you got to do is just entertain us. Entertain us and stop trying to be too smart for your own good, because it just doesn't work. If we're giving it 4s and 5s, it's not working, man. Give us something. Give us a reason to captivate us. That's all I'm going to say. And I'm not dogging the episode. It's just you can see this in every, they've done it. They've done it 3 straight weeks. Every week has to have this little mini cliffhanger. Morgan, red eyes, can't walk, can't kill a single thing. And at the very end of it, kill somebody, end of episode 1. Daniel, cutting hair for a freaking hour. Doesn't even understand, realize, Charlie's there traveling Wilburys. Fakes it. And at the very end, we get Daniel back. Same thing. Tonight, go in a morgue and kill people, bombed walkers, all of those things. You got to be a hell of a walker to be able to walk when you're embalmed, but that's a different conversation. But then at the very end, we get something at the very end. It's the same all 3 episodes. It's, some are better than others. It's okay, and then it's good. Or it's the hope. And at this point, I'm just starting to feel a little tricked. Like, you got to stop tricking me. Next week, I want to see something good happen in the first 2 minutes. Like the first 2 minutes, Ginny needs to be killing somebody for making her soup the wrong temperature. I don't know what. She just needs to be crazy. But, we saw this scene with John Dory. So, here's what's going to happen next week. Tell you already. We're going back to their little town. Somebody's going to be pulling up weeds in the garden. There's going to be a church choir in the background, and they're going to give us a story and a story and a story and 4 stories that we got to follow along. We're going to see John, and John's going to be weakened and wimpy and the way they like to play John. And at the very end, something's going to happen, and he's going to attack somebody and throw them in a grave, beat the crap out of them. And we're going to say, okay, that looks good. Next week's going to be a little bit better. Episode 5 is going to be good. Yeah, I mean, it was hard to really get into tonight, and it'll change. Next week, it looks good. We'll see how we feel about it. We're fans. We're going to watch it. I mean, look, I've got an interest in Fear the Walking Dead. I have for 6 years. I have an interest in Walking Dead. I have literally less than 0 interest in World Beyond. I gave it 2 episodes, and it was probably some of the worst stuff I've ever seen on TV. I didn't even want to associate with it, to be honest. I can hear a rumor. Whenever there's a tie to Rick, like a real one, I won't watch it, but I'll read it on comicbook.com or something. I'll get whatever. World's going to go crazy like, oh, look, Rick Grimes made a cameo. Yeah, it's great. Glad it's Rick. I'll read about it. But I can't deal with it for a whole season. It just wasn't there. Fear, I do, like most of you, think Fear is going to get better. But we got to have that episode where it is start to finish. And I think episode 3 is a little too early for filler. It's a little bit too scary in my opinion. And you just don't see. All right, let me ask this question because it's becoming a real thing. 4 years ago, I was joking when I said Fear the Walking Dead coincidence. But is there anybody that maybe just getting a little, maybe they're taking a little bit too far? Like you may have to search for this one. And I'll give you an example. But can you think of a blatantly obvious coincidence in The Walking Dead? In the real Walking Dead? Because most of the time, Walking Dead, they give you good hidden clues. I'm not saying they're not there, but there's just not a lot that pop into my head. Like, here's what I mean, okay? Here's what would happen if Ian and Andrew, oh boy, you guys don't want me to do this. This is going to be bad. All right, I'm going to be super stupid sarcastic, but I have to do it. I have to do it this way to make a point. So if you guys want to hear it, I'll do it. Okay. Do you guys remember the scene in The Walking Dead where they were leaving Hilltop? Negan and Alpha were shooting the arrows, getting ready to take over Hilltop, and they decided to leave, and Negan had cut the trees down to block them. You guys remember that? You guys with me? Okay. So what did they do? They realized they were trapped. They had no way out, so they had to go back and fight. See, that's The Walking Dead. It's what it does. If Ian and Andrew were there, this is the way it would have played out. They go down. They see the trees. Hey, who put them damn trees there? Well, if memory serves me correct, I think that would be our very own Negan. Hey, look, there's a damn chainsaw. Yeah, that would be Fear, right? They would find a chainsaw, and then they cut it down. That's what Fear the Walking Dead does. You kick a couple leaves over, and then it's there. We're saved. We just saw this log up, and then we go. That's Fear the Walking Dead. It doesn't happen in Walking Dead. Fear. Think about it. They are looking for license. They can't find Alaska and Hawaii. They go over. They find somebody in a street that jumped off the top of the building. Just so happened, it's Alaska. One of the ones we were looking for. We found them. They've been looking through 200, but the episode we get to watch, we find it. Oh, but that's not the coincidence. Not only does Fear give you a coincidence, they give you a coincidence on a coincidence on a coincidence. Because it just also happened to be one of her good friends. And just happened to run into him. So, I mean, they found the license they were looking for. It was from the state where they found it. It was the name of the episode. That wasn't a coincidence. That was intentional. But then they go up all the die-hard stairs. They find the person. She has a breakdown when she has to kill her friend. I mean, she's been stuck there. She's known them since 2008, so I don't know how long they've been in this building. But then once that happens, it's like, then she had to say, I don't even know what their faces look like anymore. You can't see. Oh, you know what? Let me show you what their face looks like. I just happen to have this ID right here. Thank you. Now I'll never forget. Yeah. I mean, they're just too cute for their own good. I mean, the story and it's intentional. It's their writing style. It's absolutely their writing style. And it's not the writing style of The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead, people take it seriously. No, I mean, who who thinks this is a good idea? You're sitting around in a room, and I'm sitting down right now. I have my pen. I'm gonna, start poking my face here like I'm really thinking about something. Um, Tom, what do you think we should do? Well, we need beer. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll have Dwight find some beer early, and at the very end, let's have some beer too because Dwight's going to have a beer with Al. They're going to talk about the beer lady. Then later on, she's going to go up to the building and she's going to have another beer that's not a bad beer with some pretzels and with some medicine. Okay, all right. Well, what do you think we should do to really impress the audience? I don't know, Sarah. What do you think we should? You know what? I think the beer should be skunky. Oh, great idea, great idea. Okay, write that down. Skunky beer tastes really bad. It'd really get the audience. Let's have Dwight spit it out first and then take another drink of it. Boom! That'll get the audience. They'll give us a 4. You have to write this shit. I mean, you do. You have to write it. They don't go out there and do it on their own. Someone is directing them to do that. So when we see something that seems out of character, it's not Dwight that is not in character. It is just these writers in Fear have minimized the actor's ability. They made John Dory into a wimp. Morgan has went from clear to unclear so many times I can't remember it. Sharpie Lady was not a good idea, but the show really loves beer. All right, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop. I'm getting fired up tonight. We're going to get out the door with 6. We're going to take our 6 and we're going to enjoy it. And we're going to come back next week and somebody better be just beat down by Ginny. We got Eric Beach. Eric says, Kills, I've been a YouTube channel member for 13 months, PDL sponsor, been attending chats for years. I've gotten to the point of disenchantment with these 2 spinoffs. Thank goodness for you in the Army. Eric, you've been here for a long time, and we absolutely love you. And the people here, you guys get it when we go on a tangent. Now, I can't promise that everybody watching the playback is going to have an appetite for my critique of it, because some people don't get it. And I think, once we've been here for a long time, you guys sort of get me. You know my sense of humor, and hopefully. And I certainly respect what the writers do on a day-to-day basis. And the reason that I make it so obvious is because it's intentional. This is I'm not saying it's like Evil Dead type of humor, but they certainly don't shy away from being okay with just wrapping up the story really quickly. Fear the Walking Dead. Great. You know what? That is it. Jimbo the Beerbo. I mean, I don't know there's ever been, we've had the beer lady, Jimbo the Beerbo. I don't know if I've ever seen a show with 2 people that had beer in their name. Beer balloon. Good stuff. All right. Hey, I've been at this for an hour. Great chat. Great discussion. I would say we need to break this down more, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know that we can go line by line. I'm running these extended reaction videos until we get to The Walking Dead or until we get an episode of Fear. When we get a little bit more plot, a little bit more story, we're going to do a Tuesday night stream. We'll do a Thursday night stream. I think we're getting close to it because, look, once they introduce all the characters, they're going to pull all the characters together. We're going to find out who the good people are, who the bad people are. That's still to be determined. And, I think there'll be some, some things to talk about, some stories, some strategies. But the group certainly has the potential and could use a shot of adrenaline. But again, I don't know who they're going to kill. I mean, I guess if tomorrow Morgan walks in with the axe and kills Ginny, first thing I'm going to say is, well, what did she do? She didn't do anything that bad that other people haven't done a lot more of. So, yeah, I'm hoping we see something with Ginny, or they phase her out really quickly, and we get something with these other two dudes with the submarine in the desert. That I don't know. There's a submarine in the desert. We'll talk about it. All right, everybody. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Absolutely appreciate you guys. We're doing Play Dead Live tomorrow night, and got a big matchup. We got Mir versus Ark. If you guys want to hang out with us on a Monday night or Wednesday night, do a little PvP, or on a Friday night and go through our own epic adventures where we have a story and we change the story every week. So our players make the call. I see Rocket Crockett. What's up, Gina? Have a request. I have no clue what you said, but when I finally get my Wi-Fi connected, will you please repeat it? Because it must have been funny because I saw tons of laughing emojis. Yes, I will. Or you could watch the playback, and then I wouldn't have to repeat it all. But yes, I will. I will do both. Or I'll have you watch the playback, and then I'll... Thank you. There you go. She's going to watch it. She's going to be like, oh, what a great idea. All right. We miss you, Gina. Get that Wi-Fi. It's what happens. What happens when you go from California to the woods? I mean, get that Wi-Fi hooked up out there. All right, everybody. Have a good night. And, yeah, let's do a little PDL dance. If you guys didn't stick around for the last 10 or 15 minutes last week, we got some of our members from here. You may or may not recognize them. We got a lot of things that we fight on Friday night. We have a lot of fun. It is our story. So if you love the 999 Army, you like what we do, this is something that we created, something that we invented. So I'm going to wind it down just with a little bit of dancing. So you guys have a great night and dance it up a little bit. Have a good one, everybody. Peace. That's the group that was in the building in Fear the Walking Dead before they got